Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. One of my favorite quotes by Helen Keller. If you saw my last video, you've heard it before. I want to talk to you guys about addiction. I want to talk to you about my addiction, and I want to tell you what I did to get through that addiction and what I replaced that addiction with. Yeah, I replaced it with another addiction. So first, I don't want to say I was an alcoholic. The term doesn't really resonate with me. I always thought about alcoholics as being someone who wakes up and drinks throughout the day, stumbling drunk all the time, bottle of booze in the car, ice chest full of beer in the back of the truck, and I've known a lot of alcoholics, and that's what it looked like. Like, that's their life, right? So when I thought about being an alcoholic, I always thought about these guys, right? I mean, these guys are alcoholics, not me. I was just somebody who drank heavily every night, and yeah, every day. So, I was worked, and most of the time I wasn't drinking on the job. When I was young, so I did construction, and as a kid doing construction, yes, there were times where, like, in between job sites, we would stop and get a 12-pack, and we're drinking them on the way to the job site, right? And that became frequent. I guess I might as well take it all the way back, right? So when I was a kid, I went to a girlfriend's house. There were probably about 5 of us, and her mom had alcohol. She had like 5 bottles: vodka, tequila, whiskey, rum. She had it all, and we got into her stash, and we had no reason to think that it was a bad thing, because our friend's mom, who had the alcohol, she was healthy. I mean, she appeared to be healthy, and she was a hard worker, and she seemed happy and friendly. She seemed to be always smiling, and she just looked like she had her stuff together, right? So even though she had all this alcohol, we didn't attribute alcohol to being bad, considering our introduction to alcohol was through her. Well, we started liking it. So it began there as a kid, 13 years old. And so, we kept it going off and on, nothing serious, right? We were kids, and we were living at home, but, anytime it was opportunistic, we would drink some alcohol, and we would enjoy it. And as the years progressed, we just kept it going through parties, through high school. I didn't think of it as a problem. I wasn't getting into trouble through high school, although we were starting to party a little too much and enjoy it, right? And so then I started smoking weed. I was introduced to weed actually before alcohol. That's another story. But whenever drinking, it got to a point where I wanted to smoke weed. My friends wanted to smoke weed. Alcohol made it easier for us to do. In fact, I didn't even want to smoke weed unless I was drinking, for a lot of the time. You know, what do they call that? Crossfade. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to talk more about this, but the point is, I got to like alcohol way too much, and I continued drinking into my 20s. And, you know, for a long time it was just for fun. It was just because I enjoyed it. But then when life became more challenging in my early 20s, you know, I became a father, and I was working all the time, and I had a lot of trauma that I hadn't dealt with, and it was just easy to drink. It was easy to smoke weed. It was easy to self-medicate. So I just continued that. You know, I had 2 daughters. I was taking care of them. I was working a lot. I was even going to school. So I was really, you know, doing all the right things. So I thought, alcohol's not an issue, right? Like, it's just normal. People drink. You know, my parents drank. My friends' parents drank. I never saw it as a problem. I just thought it was normal. You know, it was so socially acceptable in society to drink alcohol. And so time was going by, and now I will say, there was a lot of nights where I would get sick because I would drink too much. And when I say a lot of nights, I just mean over the years. You know, I wasn't passing out drunk every night. I actually drank enough to where I had a high tolerance. So I could, you know, I probably knocking back 8 beers a night. Sometimes a few shots with that, shots of whiskey. You know, that's what my dad drank, was beer and whiskey. It started out for me drinking the same type of beer my dad drank. You know, he always drank Budweiser. You drink Budweiser and you drink Jack Daniels. And he smoked weed. It was how I saw him self-medicate, right? So, perfectly normal for me. And I really respected my dad, loved my dad. He was always a hard worker. So, growing up, for me, seeing my dad self-medicate like this and work hard and take care of his family, I just thought, this is normal. And I was, you know, so busy that although it was affecting me, of course, I didn't see how bad it was affecting me. In fact, looking back later, I had said many times that so many of my problems were due to alcohol. And that was something I couldn't see at the time. So I did end up getting in a lot of trouble. I ended up in jail for the first time for going to a party and getting in a fight. I was, you know, my relationship wasn't good because we both drank, and we fought, and we weren't happy. My wife's mom drank every night too, and my wife's sister, it was everywhere. Everybody around was drinking every night, and it was normal. All of our friends. So, you know, through our 20s, it was just normal. Didn't think much of it. But as I got into my 30s, you know, I was having thoughts about what I really wanted to do in life. Still very busy working and raising kids, building a business. You know, when I wasn't drinking, I was actually very healthy. I mean, my dietary practices were healthy, so I was eating clean food, exercising. I'd be working out with a beer in my hand. So outside of drinking alcohol every day of my life, I was taking care of myself pretty good. My dad used to say, son, as much as you drink that juicer's saving you, because I was juicing every day, or I was making smoothies every day, cooking good meals every day, drinking plenty of water, always taking my vitamins. I wasn't what I considered to be an alcoholic. But there are things I wanted to do in my life. Now, again, while raising children and working and being very busy, it was easier to just get off work, come home and drink still, but I was struggling with it. Like, I recognized the problems it was causing in my life, and I wanted to drink less. I hadn't even considered the possibility of stopping drinking in my early 30s. But I was thinking about other things in life that I wanted to do, that I was passionate about, namely health and wellness. Really passionate about it. I was a fitness trainer at 18 years old. Was a nutritional consultant by 21. While doing other jobs that I enjoyed, I would want to learn something, and then I would go do that job. Right? I wanted to learn how to build a house, so I went and joined a framing crew and stopped doing personal training full time. Still did it on the side, but I had such a passion for health and wellness that I wanted to flesh out that career, right? I don't even like that word, career. I wanted to help people, right? I just wanted to help people. The reason I make these videos is because I really want to help people. Like, we live in a world that's so toxic. There's so many chemicals. The food is poison these days. We're under so much stress that we're just swimming in. We have more chemicals in the atmosphere than ever before, in our food and our water. So I just knew I really wanted to help people, and I knew in order to do so that I was going to have to be healthy. So I knew that the hardest thing I was going to have to do to become the healthiest version of myself, the optimized version, was I was going to have to figure out how to cut back, right? Because I was not intent on quitting. I always thought, I'll just drink less. I always said, I want to be the person who, because I enjoy alcohol, I just want to be able to control it. I don't want to be rigid about this issue. I want to be able to enjoy alcohol when I want to enjoy it. If I want to be hanging out with friends and we want to have a few, then I want to be able to enjoy a few without feeling like I need to drink 12 beers and 6 shots. So it hadn't occurred to me that I probably might need to actually quit. I might have to let it go. And so I, had a lot more troubles along the way trying to figure that out. But I managed to get a handle on my drinking. And so what I would start doing is I would just start taking breaks. I'd take like a week off. So I think first I started not drinking I tried not drinking during the week. I would only drink on the weekends. But then I would drink too much on the weekends. I feel like crap. During the week, it would take me like 4 days to recover. 3-4 days. Especially the older I got. So it was horrible, right? It just wasn't worth the hangovers. So I would I would do things like a cleanse. Like, okay, I got to do a cleanse, something extreme to give my body a break from the alcohol. You know, it was too difficult for me to just say I'm not going to drink tomorrow. I had to have a regimen. Like, I'm going to only eat, you know, fruit and nuts tomorrow, or I'm going to do a juice fast. I had to have some kind of protocol that was rigid and structured to keep me from drinking. And initially it was really difficult, like really hard. That's how addicted I was. I realized, okay, like I'm addicted because I don't just need this like emotionally. It wasn't just an emotional attachment, but I also, when I didn't drink, my body was craving it. You know, so I started there and got to a point where I could, you know, stop for a week, and then 2 weeks, and then eventually a month. But even after a month, I'd start drinking again. You know, and I would drink too much. I would always drink too much. I would drink enough to where I was damaging my health, and it was causing me a lot of anxiety. You know, it was really affecting my emotional health. And what like really did it for me as far as stopping was divorce. And when that happened, because as my marriage was suffering, I knew, like, I just want to stay inebriated every night. And I would wait till my kids like went to bed before I would really tie it off. You know, I was still being a responsible dad, but balancing all that was stressful and horrible in itself. So because of the situation, I knew I had to stop, because I had to be really, really clear and responsible. I had to get to a point where, because now if I'm going to go through this divorce, then I'm going to take care of my kids. I'm going to need a clear head all the time. And you know, it was the worst time for me to think about not self-medicating. The absolute worst time. I know so many people who it's when they go through those hardest times that they drink the most. And that's completely understandable, and it's something that I wanted to do. Like, I needed to self-medicate. But what I needed more was to really be there for my girls through this divorce. So I stopped drinking completely. And it was the best thing I ever did. One of the things that helped me was to have a goal, to have a dream, to have a passion. And what I mean is, in order to continue sober, I needed something for me. I raised my girls. They left. They were good. But I needed something for me. So, like I told you before, I wanted to help people. In order to do that, I have to be healthy. That's why I let alcohol go, and that's why I make these videos. It's a very vulnerable video, right? But I want you guys to understand that for me to become the healthiest version of myself was from an unselfish motive. It's because I want to help you. I want to help you change your life. Whatever you're dealing with, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, I want to help you. Health is not about nutrition. It's not about exercise. It's not about meditation and therapy. It's all those things and more. It's all those things and so much more. And I knew I had to be healthy in order to help other people. So the addiction that I replaced that addiction with was self-improvement. It was a goal to get healthy. I had to become addicted to becoming healthy, to whatever it would take to change my life, because I knew I had a goal, I knew I had a desire, I knew I had a passion that I could only realize if I first helped myself. If I could help myself successfully, like if I could pull it off, then there's hope that I could help someone else. So I became addicted to fitness. I became addicted to knowledge. I became addicted to making sure that I was feeding the body what it needed to thrive. And I had to become addicted to wanting a different life. Part of the reason I was self-medicating was because of past traumas. Part of it was because I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled in my life. I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing. I'd always just worked, building somebody else's dream, because it was good money and it allowed me to take care of my family. But once my girls were raised and moved out, I had to take off on an adventure, on a mission to do whatever it takes, whatever it took to realize my potential and to see my dreams come to fruition. It's like we have two lives. And for me, that first life was having my family and raising kids. And then when that mission was accomplished, my second life began. And so now that I am, and I want to say I'm grateful. Like, I know not all of us get a second chance. I have people I love that I don't know if they'll ever help themselves enough to realize their potential. If they'll ever embrace what it takes to follow their passions, to optimize their own health, to do whatever is necessary to achieve their dreams in this life. I don't know. Always praying and hoping the best for them and encouraging them constantly. So I don't just want to encourage them. I want to encourage you, everybody watching this, everybody I come in contact with. I want people to be healthy and happy. So when I say healthy, I don't, just to reiterate, I don't mean like you don't have any physical symptoms, but I mean getting to a point where you feel fulfilled. You feel like you are living a life of purpose. You're really content. Here in Colombia, there's you ask somebody if they're happy, maybe they'll say, I'm muy contento. Like, I'm content. I'm very content. Not some temporary feeling of happiness because, you had a good day, or you took a trip, or whatever it is that makes you happy. went for a drive through the mountains. A good experience, right? But I mean to really wake up in the morning and feel good about starting your day. It's just, that wasn't me for so long. You know, I was emotionally sick. I woke up and dreaded my day. The night before, I dreaded the next day. The weekend, I dreaded going back to work. So to be and feel actually content, what people call, happy, is the goal that I wanted to realize, because the life I was living, it seemed so far away that it was impossible. Like there was no way I could achieve it. Like it was absolutely impossible that I could achieve a life that I looked forward to waking up in the morning. That I didn't care if it was Monday or Sunday night. That every day had hope and opportunity. I just had to change myself. And I want to help everybody who's interested, everybody who wants to change. I want to help you change if you want to, right? If it's something that you've been thinking about, if you've been fighting addiction, been struggling with negative emotions, if you want to start a new business, if you want to travel, if you feel like you need to start over in a new place, maybe you have to get out of your hometown, maybe you have to get out of your country. I want to help you with all of that. So I'm here for you. DM me, leave a comment below if you want to talk. I'm here for you. Take care. I love you guys. Oh, like if you like it, subscribe if you want. If not, that's cool too.